Теперь петербургский театральный сезон онлайн.
Good evening, dear friends. My name is Alexander Plodunov, and I'm happy to welcome here all those who love theater and join us, our festival from different parts of the world. Today is October 17th, 2021, and this is the 8th, the final day of the festival, St. Petersburg Theater Festival, Theater Seasons Online, which is carried out with the support of the Culture Committee of St. Petersburg. This year we carry out this meeting in the space of one of the oldest institutes of our country. This is the St. Petersburg Performing Arts Institute. Today, to find the final performance of our program is the performance The Storm, provided by the theater, the Big Drama Theatre, directed by Andrei Maguchi, the artistic director of the Big Drama Theatre. We'll start broadcasting of this performance at 8 o'clock, but before that, as usual, we will have a meeting with the team of that theatre. I want to present to you the people's artist Marina Ignatova, the honored artist Vorobiov, actor Vinnikov, then the actor Alexander Kuznetsov, and the musical director of the performance Anna Vishnyakova. And this is our team from the Big Drama Theatre. But before we start our conversation today, I would like to remind you that for our foreign spectators, they can get the English version of our broadcasting. They can get it from YouTube. If we have the Russian version of this site, then you will get the broadcasting without translation. Plus, you can get to us through contact group. And before we start talking, we just want to show you a short video. BDT, this is abbreviation, and the building of the Big Drama Theatre is one of the symbols of our city. Today, this theatre has a name of our prominent director, Georgy Alexandrovich Tovstonogov, who has been working here for more than 30 years. But the theatre history, the drama history of this building begins long time before Tovstonogov. In the second half of the 70s, a wealthy family of St. Petersburg aristocrats, the Apraxins, commissioned architect Fontana to make a project for an ensemble of commercial premises. And this building, which you see right behind me, was supposed to house the drama theater of the Russian Empress family. So for a short period of time, this theater was called a small Emperor Theater, but later, due to some reasons, they started to rent the auditorium and the theater premises to entrepreneurs and strolling art companies, among which were the drama celebrities of those times, Eleonora Duse, Zara Bernard, Isidora Duncan. Starting from 90s of the 19th century till the Revolution, here was Suvorin Theatre here. After the Revolution, this building was nationalized, and in 1920, the history of the Big Drama Theatre began. The list of actors, directors, art designers who have been working here is very long, but nevertheless we cannot but emphasize one very special period in the history of this place. This is a period of artistic director Tovstonogov. Under the rule of Tovstonogov, there began a golden age of this theatre. A new period of Bedete began several years ago, when Andrei Maguchi was assigned to be its new artistic director, and who belonged to a new generation of artistic professionals in the city, an artist, innovator, and a reformer. So today, this theatre is a Golden Mask and Golden Soffit Award winner, proves successfulness of the trail that Andrei Maguchi has chosen. So we are again in the studio, and I want to remind to our audience that you can ask us questions. We are working live, so you are very welcome to ask your questions, and we will find them in YouTube, in contact group. We just want you to say what city you are from and what is your name. This is very important for us to know, to understand what is the geography of our festival. The author of the most interesting question will get a gift from the organizers of this festival. So we will start our conversation today with the fact that Ostrovsky actually is not a very often author, very popular author in this theater, and this is maybe the first time. This is for the first time for hundreds of years of existence of this theater, but for the first time you staged this play. So the question is that how do you, what is your approach to Ostrovsky today? How do you see him from BDT? Marina? Yes. So we see it as a very musical performance. Well, Ostrovsky used to be in BDT. We had a performance Wood, Les, and of course now the Storm. Well, this is a young, emotional, very beautiful musical, very beautifully arranged by Vera Martynov, beloved. Well, the program of this festival is mostly, well, exclusively these days consists of Russian classics. So it proves that the theater today is really interested in classics. But how do you think? What does the classics give today to the modern theater? If we speak about classical literature pieces, I think that they are richer than the modern ones. I actually love classical roles. Maybe with years I read more classical literature than modern. Maybe unfortunately. I like to reread things. I do not like to read new things. I just discovered for myself when we rehearsed War and Peace. I started to reread the novel. I just read it for 4 days. It was just a burst of reading, and I couldn't stop. I just couldn't take my eyes off the novel. I do not understand how is it possible to live without classical literature. But, for example, could you tell us the Leskov, Goncharov, my most favorite, Garshin, Tolstoy, Bunin. And with you, Alexey? It's a very long list. Dostoevsky, Gogol, Pushkin. So you keep reading this, despite on the fact that whether you work with this author or not. Well, Masha said that she likes more classical. She prefers classical literature to modern one. This happens to me as well. I read the classical mostly. Or maybe I miss something from the modern literature, but classical is a more reliable. It gives me more emotions. For my heart, for my soul gets purified because I'm not happy with things, what is going on around. So this is my immigration towards the classical themes, just to get away from the modern life. I understand that classical things, they do really give a lot because it is already tested. It passed the test of life, the test of time, and I don't know who can live through the live testing. Well, at those times, many of the plays were written. Just we have as a heritage just Ostrovsky. We have an artist design of the performance. We're very happy to see you. This is Vera Martynov, and we are very happy to see you. And Vera, this is a question to you. I just want to say that our main task today is to prepare our audience, which is going to watch it at 8 o'clock, to accept it properly, to receive it. And we have to admit that this is not the most usual, the trivial, the usual type of Ostrovsky plays. So we have the audience which is located far from us. Maybe they're not really tuned for the intonation which prevails today. That's why just a lot of things in this performance really depend on the way we accept it visually. Will you please tell us what was the task for you as the artistic design? So what this unusual look of the performance means to you, and how did you work on this performance? We started to use our fantasy how the Russian dramatic theater could look like if it remained to be conservative, like Japanese theater kabuki. So this is the culture of theater which does not develop in any way. It appeared some years ago, and it exists like that today. People go to Japan, they go to classical theater kabuki, and they watch this culture which counts many, many years, the history of theater. And we started to create and started to use our imagination, what it can be like if a theater, Russian theater, could exist like this. If suppose Mali theater would be modern, which kind of theater it would be today? It would be a modern to Ostrovsky. And we started to create Russian drama kabuki. And I remembered about some episode which my friends told me about, who work with the modern art, the people from galleries, that once the scandal thing happened in a little village not far from Moscow, Palekh, the village where they started, which started like a school of icon painting. But then, after revolution, transformed into a secular painting, and then to monumental. This is a very special very Russian school of painting. So, an event happened there that there was some modern artist. He ordered to some Palekh artists. He commissioned some Palekh artists to make the Palekh boxes. When did that happen? In 2000. And my friends, they exhibited these boxes. And people from this Palekh village really got so nervous because they thought that someone is going to use for some purposes. So I like that story very much because the Palekh's boxes are very funny. They are so charming. We started to consider that, and by that time there was a desire. That is my personal credo, which I try to keep to, just to keep not the emptiness, but to try to fill all the emptiness with something. So we came to this idea with the black on the black, with the help of Palek boxes, and the story with Catherine started to get connected. So the image of this performance just was born, basing on different desires, basing on this plastic, flexible decision of having black on the black. Maybe some birch trees, which you can see only during the lightning. And I have to remind to our audience that our audience can ask you questions in the comments, in the group in contact, and name your city and the name when you ask the question. This is very important for us. And the author of the best question will receive the gift from the organizers of the performance of this festival. And the next question is to Vera first, and maybe to all the actors who are together with us. When we speak about the classical literature, which has a long stage history, well, actually, this storm refers to this. But when you work on the storm or the title like this, do you take into consideration the previous experience of other theaters? Do you take into consideration, did you remember, for example, about this performance, about famous Meyerhold performance of 1916? I would say both. Yeah, I do consider and do not. I know about previous experiences. This is necessary. This is a part of my professional work, counting all of that experience which has been done already before you. For one purpose is not to repeat anything which have been done already before you. I just looked through some articles before our conversation, and the critics remember Tairov, remember Meyerhold. When you worked on it, did you understand this sequence of... Well, actually, for me, it was important to have the general opinion about Ostrovsky. Now you mentioned this Meyerhold and Tairov. I cannot even remember from Meyerhold what was there. There were very beautiful decorations, same beautiful as you have them. But then the question to Marina: Did you watch the previously played performances? No, I didn't. Well, I can say I do not take into consideration the previously played roles. Of course, I read some information about the actresses which played it, but maybe the portrait of Rikalova, you saw it. Of course, I saw, yes, so what? So actually, no, you do not take it into consider. So you make it anew. Oh yes, I hope so. What about you? Did you play? Did you hear about Martynov playing Tikhon, who was crying over the body of Catherine? You know, even before I started my work, I try not to go to these kind of performances which can leave some impression with me, because I got used to working from scratch. You know, this is the subconscious things, because otherwise you get impressed, especially if it was a very good work, or it is a very good work of someone. So that's why I try not to look. Another thing is counting some experience. If you work with Ostrovsky, well, first thing you just do, you just look at the names, and these names of the actors who played it will give you some kind of a code, which is a key to the performance, and some personal emotions are very important. Well, here we talk about Ostrovsky, but even broader, when the actor just plays any role, when the role which has previous history, and it always happens like this with the classics. So whether he tries to coincide with the previously played image, to overlap himself, not only with the storm, but with maybe others. Well, with me, it happened that actually I had other performance to release, which didn't fulfill, and then finally at the final stage, they just asked me to enter the performance. But generally, my experience shows with the Cherry Garden. When I worked on Gaev, I watched lots of different material, Moscow theaters, and from here, and also I borrowed some things. Well, just a little bit. I borrowed some little bits from other performances, but actually I tried to find things in the literature, things which might help me, because we really, every time when we work with the classics, we think that everybody understands how to read. For example, Hamlet. Everybody say that he went crazy, but this is just the rumors around. When we read it and we see this character, we don't see that he is crazy, but everybody talks about him like about the mad person. So how can we feel it? How can we get it? How can we pull it out from the character? We need to read the literature, and we need to pull it out from there. When the audience comes to the theater and hears and watches all these monologues, I think the audience trusts more to a live play. But suppose if the theater comes when the audience have already seen Mikhalkov film or some other movies, the audience, even if they have already read the play or the novel, they already have the image in their head, in their imagination, and the acceptance, the reception of this image that you provide on the stage is absolutely different. So there is a conflict, there is a sort of a fight, and it's not always, yes, it's difficult, it's not always happens with us that we manage to reconvene or persuade the audience in favor of our image. But if you stay within the frameworks which has been done already, then you're not going to be... Well, this happens when someone comes, because like this is a tradition in school. We try to make real heroes out of the characters. Onegin is a hero, Pechorin is a hero, and having this understanding, the audience comes to the theater and they see absolutely different characters, and for a matter of 2.5 hours, the audience has to change their mind. Or maybe we don't have to change to force the audience change their mind. Well, everybody has his own theater, and the audience comes to the theater with different purposes to Our festival was started with a discussion. Dmitrievskaya Zaretskaya, the famous our theater critics, and they used to say that, and I want to underline this theme, this idea that actually every time when we watch the classics, we have to understand that every audience, every spectator has their own understanding of the classics, and they should not repeat the previously played or previously done interpretations. But in your performance, not only the visual side is unpredicted and unusual, the Palek curtains, this golden wall in the second act, it's very beautiful. But the genre is also different. This is not very usual Ostrovsky. I even found an annotation. The author writes that this is a modern opera, because so this is some sort of a musical theater. So and this is your task, right? Now to explain to the audience the story with the accents and the story with different types of singing. What is this for in Ostrovsky? Well, here we can continue the theme that Vera was talking about, how the theater would look like if it would be a conservative theater. And when we discussed it with composer, started looking to the text, we understood that we can apply rhythmic formulas. It sounds the way as if it is created to some very musical story. It is possible to put it in notes, in musical keys. So we realized that on the one hand side, we realized that the text provides lots of musical ideas, and the plot, on the other side, there is a plot, also looks a lot like a folk art, because there is a character who gives us his name, immediately showing him in a full size of a character. Every character announces itself, and then they start playing. All this is very resembling to any kind of the open square theater or the square of strolling artists, because this type of the performances have to be supported by music, because our voices really have the tendency to lose themselves. That's why we actually invited the solo singer of the Mikhailov Opera House. That was our special step. So there is a open square theater story, drama story, and the material, literature material, tells you this is the way I am. Then a drum comes, which in the court goes together with the event, and it either invites the audience and keeps some the rhythm of the story, or provokes the actors on the stage not to let the audience fall asleep, though of course it's not possible to fall asleep for the audience. And then in the speech of this people, of these actors, appears the city, Kalinov. It's very strange, and it's very strange how people speak there. They do not speak understandable with the accent, and you cannot understand exactly from where they come from. I can tell you about the accents, but this is a specially made story, because the accent shows us not the geography, but it gives us the musical range of the parameters. So there is a rhythm. And on the other side, the high-pitched voice. Some of them tweet, some of them sing, some of them roar. So these are all peculiarities which we created for this very accent. We do not recite anybody's. We do not recite any local tradition. We created this story, completely composed. And when you learned this role, it was already with an accent, and it was not easy, yes. Even now, when we play it, we might forget some little things, but it's very interesting. But this is the method of fixing this material, because we get it fixed on the level of the keynote. That's why this is the impression that this is nearly an opera. So this is a base, this is the enforced accent. But we have, because it happens that we've got Alexander, who is directly related with the opera house. But as for the audience, maybe you are going to get surprised from the very beginning, from the visual picture of the stage and the actors and the costumes of the actors, but mostly I'm sure that Boris Grigorievitch is going to surprise everybody who keeps singing from the very beginning. Will you tell us about your task? Well, in difference to my colleagues, it might be easier for me. I didn't have to compose anything, because everything was composed for me. Rhythm, music, the text. That's why here there wasn't too much work. But originally the idea was that to the Kalinov city there came a musician with his piano and who pronounces the words correctly. Well, he's from Moscow, he's a Muscovite. Yes, the composer wrote the music and the keynotes and the roles. It took us time to learn, and we made some corrections. There were some phrases which we had to rewrite by the order of director. Andrei Maguchi, as far as I understand, he had an image of a duet of Catherine and Boris Grigorievitch in his mind, in his head, and that's why Andrei Maguchi wanted to get this duet from our composer. So there were several efforts to get that, but this dual singing requires time in order to appear. Do it as a musical number. These are the voices that sound at the same time, but we have the plot, developing the plot. And so basing on this idea, well, he wanted to hear a special piece from opera, and he wanted the event fit this musical bit. Originally, we wanted just to write it only for Boris Grigorievitch, and he sings. And Catherine, she would improvise in a folk style. but that was really very difficult to do, and it didn't come out, and that happened that a vocal line was written for Catherine. So the questions come from the audience. If Vera is together with us, to the question to the artist design of the performance. You told us about the Polak traditions, which was used in arranging of the decorations, but and plus same things was in costumes. Our audience is really very profound. But for example, what about the hats, for female hats? They're not very typical. Could you please tell us about the symbols? What do they mean? What does the shape of a hat, female? They do not remind. These are really historical costumes. Yeah, just in black variant. And the hats, they are classical. We borrow the shape of the hat and we used it. Each of them has its own symbols. We can describe them, every shape and every form of the hats. There is nothing occasional in these costumes. There are reasons for every costume. Every costume, every female, every hat is based on a reason. So, together with the furniture, because we had to think what kind of the coach, what kind of a chair, what kind of piece of furniture would fit to a certain room, a certain space. And same refers to the costumes. Either we had this type of horn or they have this shape of different details. So this is a very conventional depiction of a very classical things. This is a generalization. Together with me, there was Svetlana Gribanova, who worked with me. She is not a costume designer. She has her own brand. And at that moment, I just invited her to work with me because I liked her experience of her work. So she actually works with just normal. Yeah, she's a designer. She's clothes designer. I just wanted to have such a fresh glance, having a correct style. That was really very interesting, to take measures, to create something new. The costume should fit the external decisions of the image of the character and the whole ensemble of the group of characters. So there were very many nuances and slight details. We took photographs and we worked with photographs. We decided to add black color to the stage and to the costumes and to these decisions, color decisions, to have black prevailing there. So Svetlana has been working with the costumes, and I'm very happy with her result. There are pluses in this online format. Well, I saw the run-throughs in theaters, and now when I watch the video, and I want to say that on video you can see the details, those details that I do not see being in a big auditorium, you can see in video version. And the runway is not by chance. So when people go down the runway, people from Moscow sent us the questions. So this is what they write. Unique format, a very strong work, and we give you a bow, and we are very happy, we're very thankful to you for this work. The next question refers to Catherine from Lugansk. How do St. Petersburg audience receives these classical performances in modern interpretation? Well, what is the reaction of the audience when the classical performance, what is this acute modern? I can tell you for opera, because now it is really very fashionable to sing classical operas in the modern way, and the audience, they split into absolutely opposite sides and camps. Some people want to have classical opera with classical decorations, with horses, with all the props and properties and costumes, and there is an audience that likes exercises and tries and efforts of the director, who would like to apply new methods, new language, to use new language in drama. And I happen to work in a number of stagings, and I want to say that in St. Petersburg there is a fact that the audience really split into absolutely opposite parts. Well, I think it might be decided very easily. Those who like to see classics in the traditional form will go to a big drama theater. The opposite audience, they also have places where to go and see. But here also there is a question, and we already touched upon this issue, that people do not read plays. As a rule, people do not read plays. Novels, yes. I've got friends who like theaters, but they do not play plays. And people who go to the theaters and watch the classical stage, because it's required by the school program. If people do not read the plays, or students of the schools do not read plays, let them go to the theater and at least see the play staged in the theater. So how should we prepare the audience for performances like that? How should the audience watch how should we tune, how should we adjust the audience for watching something which differs a lot from the original play? I want to say that the parents should not worry, because in this performance the play will be read to children, preserving completely the text, because we do not change the place of the episodes or the pieces. So we preserved absolutely the text of Ostrovsky, and we do not give judgments, because at the literature classes in school we get the judgments. The theater doesn't give judgments. So that's why the way this staging provides this performance, the audience can get the text, each word, you can hear each word which sounds in a different way. And the question of Alexander Viktorovich from Chelyabinsk: thank you for a beautiful performance, very unusual staging, a very strong direction. There were three silent people during the performance. From time to time they run through the stage.
Почему-то и дело слегка скручивается во всем. Есть версия, что они изображают
There is a version that they try to show the birds from Volga River. Is that true? Well, I don't know if they are birds from the Volga River, but they are birds. And I think that this is one of the most complicated stories in the performance, because this is a constant movement on stage, and these are birds that turn into people. They either bring someone into a trap, or well, some people write that these birds, they as if they are servants of proscenium, or like Arab servants from Mikhailovsky Theatre. To some extent, they organize the process.
Да, есть такие.
Ну, нет, а форки катают, у нас целая балетно-монтировочная группа. Да, балетно-монтировочная.
Надо сказать, что
I should say that
вы будете смотреть спектакль.
when you are going to watch this performance, pay your attention that in the modern theater, a real modern theater is also very technologically well equipped. So we see a very complicated machinery as a part of this performance. Because, well, we know the plot, but how it is made, how the performance is built, this is very important. So Tatiana from St. Petersburg asks us a very interesting question. So the director is a god, but actors are atheists. So how did you build your relations with Andrei Anatolievich? Well, Andrei Anatolievich really got us involved in this story, and we really were seduced by the idea. So we accepted this form immediately. When he just offered it, I accepted it from the very first offer and suggestion during the rehearsal. And the language is very attractive language. The language is very attractive. It's very, really gets us involved. And this is what we happen to fulfill in the performance, to show the text separately. Of course, we have characters, we have a story that characters tell, but also there is the text as a special character, which can open to us the whole beauty of rhythmic parameters. Elena from St. Petersburg. Well, this performance was staged in 2016, and this is the Golden Mask award winner and Golden Sophyte also for the best direction. Whether the performance has changed within these 5 years, and do performances change within the time? I think that everything gets changed, including the performances. We change, and the performance gets changed. We always find something new. We started to speak about classics. Every time when you reread the classics, you emphasize different things with time, all those things which you missed in different times. Now, when you read it 10 times, you didn't see some things which you can see today. Of course, people get changed and performance changes. And the last question, Matvey Solovyov from Izhevsk asks, at the class, there was a question whether Kuligin is a positive or negative character. I want to hear Kuligin, who is played by Anatoly Petrov. Is he positive? In our performance.
Луч света.
He is a ray, he's a beam of light. He's a beam of light in the dark kingdom of our performance. Once again, I remind to our audience that at 8 o'clock you can watch the performance of the broadcasting of the Storm performance directed by Andrei Maguchi.
Придумайте пока, кто у нас лучший вопрос.
While we were watching the trailer, we consulted with each other, and we decided that the best question today was the question of Alexander Viktorovich from Chelyabinsk, who saw the performance, who said that this is a very strong performance, and who asked about the birds, which helped us to prompt to the audience the image of the birds. These are swallows. These are swallows. So you, Alexander Viktorovich, you are going to get the gift from us. So this is a long-sleeve shirt with the emblem of our festival. And I have to say some other important things. So the organizers of the festival, the producing company Neva-Art, thank the Cultural Committee of St. Petersburg for financial support of the festival, and also their partners, which is the Russian State Institute of Performing Arts. This is the company in contact. The special thanks to Siba Cafe for letting us a chance to enjoy the high-quality coffee made of beans. And for our security, during the pandemic time, Krasnopolyanska makeup company is responsible. So in a minute you're going to see the Storm, the performance of the big drama theater, and everybody who helped us to perform this festival, to carry out this festival. You can see the emblems of all these companies who were helping us. And now I have to say that our festival successfully is coming to an end, and we want to remember the words of the Pierre de Ronsard, that all of us are actors, and the sky, the heavens are watching our acting. So we are thankful to everybody who was following us, asking us questions. Be happy, be successful, and do not leave the impression of joy and happiness of life. I thank all our guests. This is a wonderful company which we finish our festival today. One more performance is left, and I think that this is going to be a great step, an honorable addition to our performance, and also we give a diploma to your theater, one more diploma. So thank you, everybody, and I, Alexander Platonov, say goodbye to you, and I hope that very soon we will see you, we will see our audience, because we love the offline theater, we like the theater, and our festival is going to follow this tradition.
Теперь петербургский театральный сезон онлайн.